development update. We are here with the core, the mobile, and the platform teams to give you an update of what happened in the past 2 weeks. If you have any questions or comments, please use a Q or a question prefix in the live chat below, and we will have a dedicated Q&A session at the end. And without further ado, let's jump right in. Sam?
Yeah, so we're still trying to get to testnet on version 2.0, and that's been the main focus the last 2 weeks for the platform team, as well as Dash Evo tool improvements. So basically, all three, me, Paul, and Lucas, we've all been testing, as well as Balash. Actually, I should add you there. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, okay, there we go. And me and Paul have been doing things on Dash Evo tool, but actually Lucas did too. So I made a mistake there too. Lucas did a nice PR to fix an issue that we've been having actually in the current version as well, have when you have multiple wallets. So that's where we're at. We're gonna start with Tender Dash today. So Lucas, you want to start?
Hi, in terms of Thunder Dash, only some maintenance mode. So we did some cryptographic library upgrade because old one was deprecated and I think buggy. So it's just an update of the library to version 2, but it's a breaking change, so it required some updates in the code. Also, a few other dependencies got mixed up and required manual merging all the updates and ensuring that it all will work together. But that's almost done. The crypto one requires some review when we have more time. It's not urgent one, but yeah, we should do that. And the binding library that connects TenderDash and Drive and the whole platform also had some dependency updates, but nothing major. And one topic in TenderDash that is on hold is state synchronization, where we want to make new nodes start much faster than it does right now. But we didn't do anything about that in this previous sprint, and in the next 2 weeks, I also don't expect to do anything there. So it's waiting for its turn after we do the release of tokens. And Sam, what about tokens?
Yep. Okay. So what's left to test? How close are we? So we've tested group actions. Last time we said, I kind of showed what we had last time and where we are now. So last time I said it was good enough for testnet. It's still good enough for testnet. Group action proofs. Last time was 80% tested. Now it's good enough for testnet. Token distributions, fully tested, good enough for testnet now. Configuration update, it was good enough for testnet, still is. Keywords, same. Token configuration, same. Documents paid for with tokens, we have a nice demo about that. I think it's now good enough for testnet as well. So why aren't we on testnet? So before we basically launch a new version, what we do is we run it on mainnet and we run it on testnet to make sure that there's no compatibility issues. And for every version that we've had so far, I don't think there's been maybe one time a compatibility issue a while ago, but generally there are none. So I really didn't think that we'd have one, but we do have one, and it's really hard to figure out what's going on because we've proved that in terms of uh, non information received from core, that the thing is exactly the same. So it has to be coming. Well, we're almost sure that it's coming from the mastnode list from core, and we believe that there's maybe some hashes that now are inverted, and we're we're trying to narrow it down, but we're having a really hard time. And all day today, for example, I wrote a test to figure this out. And but it just takes time because you're working with multiple versions, and you have to sometimes get information from mainnet, which requires like building specialized builds, and sometimes those builds take an hour or two. It takes some time to figure this stuff out. Right now we're basically going to, on the Genesis block, print out every single operation. Now there are like 40, no, I think there are like a few thousand, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 operations that happen on the Genesis. So we're basically printing out every operation and comparing it with like what is supposed to happen. So what we have in version 2 happening, and what we have in version 1, and seeing like, oh, well, this thing is wrong. So we're gonna have that later today. But I still think like then we'll only discover the issue. Fixing the issue is probably going to take a day as well. So that's that issue. We also today discovered an issue in the proof response on a document mint with very edge case conditions. That's, we're going to be finding things like this, right? So, like harder to find issues. Yeah, we found that. So I'll probably fix that as well. Okay. Let's go on. So what has happened? I separated things this time between smaller issues and bigger issues. So I'm only really going to talk about the big issues because it just, it goes on forever if you talk about the small ones. So the first one was quite interesting, and it actually was so we broke our network for the first time ever. Well, during all this testing phase for 2.0, we broke the network, and we broke it with a critical sum tree verification error. So basically, when the sum trees see that like if they believe somebody is trying to attack the system or things are non-balanced, they basically do not let things continue to happen, right? They just say, nope, nothing more is going on until devs like actually fix this. And that's pretty much a protection against bugs or like attacks. And in this case, it happened. So what happened was, if you were transferring document action with tokens transferred to contract owner, I forget. Oh yeah. So if you were, let's say you said that a document, let's say a document create, so you're creating an NFT, and every single time you create an NFT, you have to pay 10 tokens to the contract owner. Simple enough, right? But let's imagine you are the one creating the NFT and you're also the contract owner. In that case, it was trying to transfer 10 tokens to yourself, but it can't transfer 10 tokens to yourself because the system does not allow that, right? So it tries to transfer 10 tokens to yourself, but then deducts 10 tokens from, it basically causes an imbalance because it says that 10 tokens were transferred, but they were never received on the destination identity. I forget exactly because you can't really do that, right? So now there's basically a fact that if you're trying to transfer to yourself on a document action, then the tokens don't actually move because there's no need to. Yeah, so that one was pretty hard. And especially pretty hard to find. Fix Evo node distribution for token perpetual distribution. Oh yeah, so we You can set in tokens that your distribution goes to Evo nodes based on how many blocks they proposed in a given epoch. It wasn't working properly, and because we had never tested it in on a real network, we just done some tests. So that took some time to get working properly, and it does now. And so, for example, let's say there are 15 Evo nodes. Well, actually, there are generally 300 Evo nodes, right? And you proposed 5 blocks out of 5,000. If you were going to receive, if during the epoch it distributes 10,000 tokens, you would receive 5/300ths of 10,000 tokens as like the airdrop for that. And it works now. Another issue was the burn identity. The burning of tokens wasn't working properly in group actions. So it was actually burning from the last identity performing the group action. So let's say I say, oh, I want to burn. Let's say we have a group action. Me, Paul, and Lucas have to all approve of burning tokens for that to actually happen. So I initiate it. I say, okay, I want to burn 100 tokens. And then Paul says, yeah, okay. And Lucas says, yeah, I'm okay with that too. It would actually come out of Lucas's balance instead of my balance and fail if he did not have enough balance. But it's actually the initiator of the group action that should have their tokens burned. So now that's fixed. We also had an issue in stepwise distribution logic. So stepwise distribution is basically saying when you're doing a perpetual distribution up till block like 100, I want to distribute 5 tokens. Then from block 100 to block 1,000, I want to distribute 8 tokens, and so on and so forth. It wasn't actually working correctly because it was going off of it was acting as if the contract was always registered at block 0 instead of where the contract was actually registered. So that's also been fixed. Ensure document types only target valid tokens for payments. Yes, you could write in your document type that you wanted to like have your NFT be created with an external token that just didn't exist. You could say like you have to pay 15 random token that doesn't exist, and basically, obviously, you could never create your NFT because the external token does not exist. So that's fixed now. In your data contract, it will only accept valid tokens. Resolve group action finalization check errors. Oh, actually, this was hard. In CheckTX, so when a state transition goes into the system, it goes in 2 phases. The first is when it tries to enter the mempool. And before it tries to enter the mempool, it basically does a check transaction. And this check transaction is very, very cheap. And it does it without much access to the state, without much, IO or like it's meant to be extremely, extremely cheap just so people can attack the system. There were some issues with group actions with check transactions. So those have been fixed. I put it in the bigger issues because it took some time. Then on the next slide, here are all the smaller issues. A lot here, but we're not going to talk through these. We also had a few new features. One thing that wasn't possible before is you had your token ID. The token ID is actually derived from the contract ID and the token position inside the contract. However, having the token ID, there was no easy way to get the contract ID. So if somebody, let's say, gave you a link that had the token ID and you ever wanted the contract ID, there was no way to do that. So now there is, and there's a call for it as well. One thing that we allowed to do was we allowed to make people change the perpetual distribution. So, for example, if you said, my token distributes 5 tokens every day, and then you wrote in your contract that, either a group or yourself or somebody can change that, well, you could make that change later on. The problem is to test that would take a lot of time, because basically there's a lot of weird situations, for example, of people having like, when you change it from 5 tokens every hour to 1,000 tokens every hour, what happens to all the people that didn't, like, that had tokens in unclaimed situations? It was kind of a quagmire to go into. So we basically just disable changes to perpetual distribution. And if we ever re-enable it, that will really be up to the community if it's a feature that people want. In the data contract, you're allowed to say that you can change it, but it still won't allow you to change. If you say that you can change it, that's basically pending an update allowing this to ever be changeable. Last one was, so in the future, we're going to have marketplace, but we need to be able to change the marketplace. Like, let's imagine some tokens won't go to our in-house marketplace, some tokens will. And all tokens right now don't have marketplace rules. So what we added was the ability for the contract to say that the token can, in the future, go into marketplace, like be traded directly on the chain. So, right, if you're a token creator and you want to have your token be tradable in the future, you just have to say that in the future you can change it to go being on the marketplace. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Dash Evo tool, my work. I didn't work much on Dash Evo tool because I was really focused on issues, but I did just a few things. And I'm gonna kind of show them in a demo right now, just to kind of like, it's not gonna be a very big demo, but let's just get it. Let's just show you guys. It'll be easier than talking through it. Yeah, so I kind of like improved some of the information about like max decimals. Like, a lot of people probably would not understand this. So like, if it's 0 right now, it means it's a non-fractional token, like 0, 1, 2, or 10. And let's say if you had a name. Yeah, so, but if you put a decimal, it could be 0.2 florgons, and you can have like 0.22. Like, a lot of the inputs I also made so you couldn't type in like an F here, right? So like, it can only be a decimal number, and it can only be like 2 characters. Like, you can't have too many decimals either. So a lot of the inputs I cleaned up so you just couldn't put anything. Yeah, so here's something else, like enable perpetual distribution. Before it was, in the time-based, it was just like a time in milliseconds, way too complicated. So now we just have like distributes and you can like choose like every 30 minutes, for example, right? And here's like stepwise distribution. Now this makes a little bit more sense, and I tried to explain like what it means. So if you say like on start step step 3 amount 6, so like 90 minutes after the contract is registered, distribute 6 tokens every 30 minutes. That's what it's going to do. And like let's imagine you put 10. So 300 minutes after the contract is registered, stop distributing tokens. And then we can add another step here explaining this, like 1,200 minutes after the contract is registered. Now let's go back to 1 token every 30 minutes. So that's basically how that looks. Did I do anything else in terms of this? Let me check. Oh yeah, the group area. Yes. I forgot exactly what I did here. Oh yeah, I made this a little bit easier to deal with group members. And here in the authorized to perform action, right now it says like you can put group 0, right? But if you had no group, this group, you couldn't put like a group here. You have to have your groups first. So yeah, and you can have like add new groups. So here we have 2 groups. So now you can choose like which group you want to do the various actions, like who wants to mint. Okay, group 0 is allowed to do that, right? So group 1, stuff like that. So it's more dynamic. It's easier for users to use. Enable text editing for token conventions. I don't know what that one is. Okay, so that's basically my work on the Dash Evo tool. So I don't really have a good timeline for when we're going to testnet right now. We have to fix that bug. We're gonna probably by the end of today, we'll be able to see the different all the different actions that happen at Genesis, so we can kind of narrow down exactly the issue. And then probably tomorrow I'll get started working on that issue, whatever it is. And so hopefully we'll release to testnet, well, I mean, since I don't know what the issue is, it's hard to say when, but could be a day, could be 2 days, probably won't be. I mean, it's probably going to be this week, right? So that's that. Let's go
All
on
right.
to Paul.
Łukasz?
Oh, Lucas, sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of Dash Evo tool and the tokens and in general 2.0, I did spend quite much time trying to break it with some success. As some already mentioned, multiple issues fixed, part of them found by me, part of them by the other team members. But basically it took quite much time from me. I was doing scenarios like minting tokens from multiple systems and stuff like that. So it's time consuming. And also started to help a bit with fixing these bugs. So I did 3 fixes. One was just a message, error message displayed. So it was trivial one, but still someone had to do that. One bigger issue is about identity key creation, which is a bit broken when you have multiple wallets, so the PR is waiting for review. And another, in this case, I think also quite small issue with some refresh when you have no identity. So if there is no identity, you go to tokens list, you try to refresh list of tokens, and it shows timer that just counts. So it also minor, but I fixed that. And also there was some misconfiguration between layers on platform. So TenderDash had a different maximum size of transaction than Drive. Now it's fixed to have the same setting. It's just a configuration. So that's more or less it in terms of like the platform effort and the effort to deliver tokens on my side. Paul?
Yes, thank you. I worked mostly on adding stuff to Dash Evo tool. Let's see. So actually, the last thing I did was adding all these document action screens, like deleting documents, replacing, transfer, set price, and purchase documents. And you can also configure, like in your contract, you can configure if you can make like documents have a token cost. So if you want, you can like make it so that if somebody wants to create a document on your contract, they have to pay in tokens that are also defined in that contract, and do other stuff too, like transfer and all the other actions. I the I'm just thinking now, like it's so configurable. There's some other stuff I can say, but I'm just not even going to get into it. Like, for example, you can have people pay in tokens, and then you can subsidize the credit, the actual gas fees and stuff, or you can configure who pays the gas fees and stuff. So yeah, that is very complex stuff that you can get into there. I added data contract updates, which has been very useful for our testing. Let's see, added token direct purchase and set price. And then small thing like you couldn't, when you loaded a contract before, you weren't able to, if you wanted to change its alias or alias, there was no way to do it. But I added, so when you like load a contract, you can set its alias as well. And then a bunch of fixes from Lucas's QA. And in platform, there were a couple bugs basically that I encountered while like building this stuff. There was an issue with group deserialization. There was a proof bug with token purchases, and I added the token purchase and set price transitions to the SDK. So I will do a quick demo of Dash Evo tool just to quickly show the screens that I added. Okay, so here we're in the contract screen, and now we have update contract here. And so you can select a contract that you maybe want to update. These are like your loaded contracts, and it will populate it, and then you can do something here. I think one of the things in contract updates is you can like add a document type or a property to a document type. So if I want to like add one here, I would
I don't think you
copy
can.
this.
Can you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can. So salted domain dash, we have hash and dash, update contract.
Oh, you can if they're not, if it's not in the index, right? Yeah, that's right.
Okay. If you don't have the property index you can do it. And I have the wrong identity selected here. So this is the owner actually. Okay. And then which one did I even just update? I don't remember. I don't remember, but okay. Yeah, so update contract. And then here we have document. There's like so before last week, we looked at the group actions and we encountered a live bug last week that was fixed. So these are like, I just added all these screens between yesterday and today, except for create. Sam did that one a few weeks ago. They're all basically like copy and paste all of these screens. I'll go into, let's see, delete document. So select a contract, transferable, blob. Okay, so I'm gonna make this a drop down, but like while I was just building everything quickly, you have to like copy the document ID and paste it in here and then click delete. And you can see there's a message here. The deletion cost defined in the contract is 1 token. The token name will be here when I finish the PR. Tokens will be transferred to the contract owner, gas fees paid by you. So yeah, for all of these screens basically look the same. Yeah, let me just check what else did I do? Token direct purchase and set price, similar thing, just a small new screen. Yeah, I think that's basically all I want to show.
But how do we register? Can you register a contract with a token price?
Can
Like
you register a contract with a token price?
Yeah. How do we do that? Is it still just we have to paste in the JSON? Oh yeah, it still is, right? Like if you want to have like a document have a token price, you have to do that manually still, right?
Yeah. You have to. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, can you show like what the contract looks like? Like one that has that?
Yeah. Token costs. Is this the one I updated? Token cost. Is it this what you're talking about?
Yeah, basically. So for this document type, what's the document type at the top?
Blob.
Blob. Yeah, so whenever you want to create a blob, what great names, you need to pay 1 token that is at the token position 0. So I guess there's a token at position 0. Yeah, there is right there. Token called test and tests. Yeah. So yeah, basically, and the default. So there are 2 ways to pay for people who don't remember. You can either burn or you can transfer. So, and it doesn't have to be an internal token either. It can be an external token. But for only the internal tokens you can burn. The external tokens you need to have transferred to you, right? So for example, like you can, if we had like a stable coin, you could put your costs in the stable coin transferable to you. Sure, people are gonna love that feature once they maybe understand it a little bit later.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Here it is. You can see I created this was the contract update.
Salted domain dash. Cool. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to look at?
Oh, no. That's great. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's continue with the core team.
All right, thanks, Balash. So we can hop on to the next slide here. The main things being worked on are similar to previous. Platform proof of service is done and just needs to be integration tested against platform itself. So that is still kind of in testing phase. We're continuing to make progress on extended addresses. So 6629 is the current kind of open PR for that. Constantine, recently has been working a good bit on some performance improvements for indexing and reindexing and all that kind of stuff, which especially helps us out in testing. It has improved testing speed a good chunk. So we've got, I think, 4 PRs from him merged in on that, with a couple more still in review. And that's seeing around or north of roughly a 10% indexing performance speed. So that is very cool. Very nice to see. And then most recently, I have worked a little bit on voting via the Qt governance tab. I think that PR got opened yesterday. And so we have a little pre-recorded demo for what that looks like. And then I'll be interested to get feedback from people if they have any about how they would like to kind of see this function. So if we can go to the next slide here, it'll load and then go ahead and play that. So here we can see Dash Core, and I have a wallet loaded right now with 3 master nodes in it, and you have the option to vote. If you close the wallet, you no longer get the option to vote. If I open the wallet back up, you can see we have 3 master nodes in this wallet, and we can go over here and vote. And you have to put in the passphrase to unlock your wallet, and then it votes. I had already voted yes on that proposal, so it didn't change the vote count. We go on to this next one and vote no, and put in our password again. Then it votes successfully, and you see the vote count changes. So you can also, if you try to vote too often, or if there's anything like that, it shows you the errors related to what happened. So that's kind of how it's set up right now. If anyone has any thoughts or opinions, there's another video on the PR for that about kind of how that functions. But if you have any opinions on how it should look or how it should function or anything like that, go ahead and let me know, and I might take that consideration under advisement. So otherwise, backports are always continuing. I don't really talk about it a ton because it's not super duper interesting, but it is important. And continued backport progress remains. So go on to the next slide here. These are the list of the most recent merged in PRs. So a couple of backport PRs, a couple of performance PRs, a couple of refactoring PRs, dropping a couple of deprecated things, stuff like that, speeding up testing and that kind of thing. So that is the list of merged PRs. And then I also this week have been working on a little, I had mentioned it previously and I had showed a demo previously. I'm going to see if I can share here, find my right terminal. Where is it? All right, West Dash Core, that should be it. All right, so we should be able to see here. So I've been working in West Dash Core on basically an SPV client, and so I'm going to run it right now, and we'll take a look at it. So compiled, and then it starts up an SPV client. Right now I have it connecting to a node on localhost, but it could connect anywhere. Goes through, does the version handshake, does a Verac, and then I'm grabbing right now CrowdNode's address, and I've put that kind of in the wallet as what I am watching. And this is going to go ahead and sync down all the headers. So this may take a minute. There are definitely some performance enhancements I could do. It's not quite as performant as I would like, but by the magic of demos, I have done this previously. And so I can scroll up here and show what it does. There's a lot of logs right now, but it gets started like I showed with the handshake and setting up like what the wallet is watching. It syncs all the headers. It processes all the headers. And then I'm actually using the CF headers, which is part of BIP 157 and 158. It's not Bloom filters. Bloom filters are kind of the older standard. This is kind of a newer standard for doing it. I don't know if it's still considered SPV, but light client functionality. And it gives you a lot better privacy guarantees. So first you download all the headers, and then you download these really tiny filter headers. So it will do that. And this has very verbose logging right now, so I have to skip past a lot because there's, 2 million headers or something in the chain. So skip past all that very verbose logging. And then it also grabs the most recent actual filters. So it grabs the most 100 recent filters. And then it downloads the masternode list with mnlist diff from like Genesis up until the tip. So we're requesting that, and then it's feeding that into the masternode engine. Almost all of this code already existed here. Like Sam wrote up this masternode engine a while ago. It's just no one had put together all the pieces and, kind of put everything together to do the handshake and just create the daemon flow and make everything kind of happen, one after another. So I didn't actually write any of this masternode engine stuff, but I'm using it, and then we're grabbing so masternode sync basically finishes, and then we're grabbing the most recent filters. I think I'm only grabbing the most recent. I thought it was 100, but this looks like 1000. And then I'm checking against all of those filters for my scripts that I am interested in. And these filters are actually really tiny. And you can see we're finding some matches. It contains our watch scripts. So these I think they're Goulomb filters. They're similar to Bloom filters, but they give a lot better privacy guarantees. And like, they just do some fancy math to do some cool stuff. And we can go down here. And we can see all of the blocks so we found 86 blocks. I don't remember if this is out of the last 100 or out of the last 1,000, but either way, there are 86 blocks that like my wallet is interested in. And so all of these blocks will contain a transaction that uses the CrowdNode address. You could take a look at that if you are interested, but all of these are interesting, and then your wallet would download these blocks and get the actual transaction that you care about. So, and these are really cool because there's no way to like falsify them or anything. Like there are some attacks against Bloom filters that we haven't really seen in practice, but like in theory, you can fool a client who uses Bloom filters and not send them transactions that they would be interested in. With these Goulomb filters and BIP 157, 158, you cannot do that. And then it just stays connected to the network. So we see a new block, we request the headers, we then request the chain lock, we get the chain lock, we receive the headers. Somewhere it should have the actual chain lock validation. It might have a bug related to that right now, but I had chain lock validation functioning. So that's pretty much the gist of it. It'll stick around here and continually grab the latest headers and grab the latest, compact filters and everything. There are definitely some improvements and bugs. Like it looks like it's erroneously downloading the last 100 here when it could just grab the latest one. But And then we can go back to the original one that I launched. And I think it's probably still downloading headers because of all the logging and extra like debug right now. It takes a lot longer than I'd like it to. And I haven't really focused on performance. I've just put stuff together so far. But yeah, that is pretty much the gist of it. It's been a fun little project to work on. Some Rust and this SPV client. I think I'll work on getting Bloom filters integrated next, even though I don't really like Bloom filters. They are much more prevalent on the network. Right now, BIP 157, 158, you have to explicitly enable in Dash Core. So, but the long-term potential goal with this is to integrate basically an SPV client into Dash Evo tool, such that Dash Evo tool wouldn't need to have a RPC connection to Dash Core. So that's pretty much the gist here. Any questions or anything?
Well, it's very, very, very cool, I must say. Like, I knew you had worked on it. I didn't know that you had done this much.
Yeah, I've been trying to show it to you, and you just told me, no, I'm busy. Go
Yeah,
away.
well, I've been trying to release, but this is insanely cool. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even, I don't, I mean, you could go through with the Bloom filters, but maybe just, I think that, we have most of DashPay stuff written already in Rust Dash Core. So you could probably get DashPay working in this with minimum amount of effort.
Yeah.
It's actually
So,
quite cool, right? Like
yeah.
integrated into integrated into Dash Evo tool with DashPay. We could probably, all the derivation is already written. I wrote it like a few months ago in Rust Dash Core. So yeah.
Yeah, this kind of project doesn't really have a roadmap at this point, so we need to figure out besides the eventual goal of kind of using it in maybe Dash Evo tool or something like that. It's just been an experiment, so we have to play around with just thinking through that a little bit more and figuring out what we want the product roadmap kind of to really be for this and what we want to expand it into and use it for. But integrating into DET definitely seems like a good potential and yeah, maybe doing like CLI based Dash Pay could be interesting.
Once the Dash Evo tool, has this Dash Pay, doesn't require a core wallet and also has the redesign, it's going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I think I think it's going to really be on a different level, especially if you can trade tokens and stuff like that. And we wrote Dash Evo tool. One other thing that many people don't realize is we wrote it so it can be in browser. Can be in browser. I think it can be in browser. Yeah. So EGUI supports browser.
Yeah. So there's some interesting potential here. But just wanted to share that so far, and we'll see. We shall see where this goes. But all right.
All right.
I think that's all I had for this, and we can move on to mobile.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Basa. All right, so we'll start with Android. Excuse me. So on the DashPay side, we had one final kind of messaging that we wanted to do for the new customized shortcut bar. That was done. The final kind of, well, for now, changes to the receive invitation process was finished. So for now, we do have invitations done on Android. One of our lead developers for Android is on vacation, so I'm going to wait to release that until he's back. And I still may wait a little bit longer because there are some services, Firebase services that we have to replace in the next month or so. So we might just do those changes now while we wait for iOS to get done. But that's to be decided. We had some UI issues after you registered your user. That's being finalized, and then there was an issue with particularly with large CoinJoin wallets that had lots of transactions. There were some issues with our frequent contacts UI. On the dash spend side, we made the improvements to our filter and sort options. We had to deal with some min-max errors from CTX, as well as some issues on the merchant search screen that was fixed. And that was all done for our 11.2.2 release that's being rolled out as we speak with Dash Spend. So that now Dash Spend is available on the Play Store for anyone that wants to download it. And that rollout will continue in somewhat small increments, but anyone can still go to the store, and access that. And then there was our final evaluation of the other gift card partner, Piggy Cards, doing an actual purchase on their test net. So that was done. We found a couple areas where we and Piggy Cards can make some improvements, but overall, we should be pretty good to move forward with that integration once we've gotten through a few other phases of data organization or management. And then we had to deal with tokens expiring on the CTX Dash Spend. Can move on to iOS. So for iOS, the initial integration to Dash Sync has been done. We've been blocked with creating usernames with various crashes and other issues, and some more technical bits, which I can get into a little bit, but it's probably not going to be super interesting for most. But we are still currently blocked with creating a username, which really prevents us from doing any of the remaining testing that we need on Dash Bay until that's done. Most of that effort has been focused on again, various things. There's a Pong response. There's some Bloom filter kind of challenges, in particular with wallets with CoinJoin and mixed funds. So the last kind of guidance that I gave the team essentially is that seems to be the biggest problem is the issues that we're dealing with syncing when we have mixed funds in the wallet. And that's obviously important. The whole reason why we integrated CoinJoin into the wallets was so that we could have private usernames. So that will be the case, but it seems to be our core root problem as far as the issues that we're facing is with mixed funds. So the direction now is we're going to focus, let's get it working with unmixed funds to at least avoid that blocking issue. So I'm hopeful that that'll at least get us to the point where we can, get a Dash Pay up and running to continue doing our testing. So that's probably the biggest thing that's kind of pivoted a little bit over the past couple of weeks, since we've just been kind of banging our heads against the wall trying to get these crashes and syncing issues fixed. The Dash Wallet side of things, we already finished an issue with unhandled transactions. There was an issue with a deep link scanning a QR code or a payment request from the camera app, then transitioning over to the wallet. There was an issue there that was fixed. That was actually identified by a point of sale partner that we're working with. And then there was a balance mismatch issue actually between what we had in the in the App Store, versus our dev version versus even on Android. We were running into 3 different balances. So they've identified what that issue was. It was not a mainnet issue, but they did address that issue. And then we have continued to work on Dash Spend, the UI for purchase gift cards and the confirmation screen. So still chipping away at Dash Spend, so we can hopefully get that out, as soon as we're ready. Yeah, that's the mobile update.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to the questions. So the first question is, I think we are able to distribute to Evo nodes. Could we do a distribute to a premium dash names? Sam? You are on mute if you are talking.
Excuse me, I was on mute. I was actually thinking about that. Could you do that? Yes, you could, because we could figure out the premium dash usernames and we can distribute to them. The problem is that there's too many to, well, so it's a little complicated because the thing is that at the end of the epoch, there's a set number of Evo nodes that are proposed to block, right? You know how many Evo nodes there are at the end of every epoch. We don't have any like history of how many, well, we don't have it easily accessible how many usernames, premium usernames there were at the end of every epoch. If we had that information, we could do it. Now, what would be required is probably using a sum tree and probably like 3 or 4 days of work. It's not the, I mean, if there's, once we get through like more important features, if people want that, I could probably code it up.
All right, thank you. Next question. Did Paul say we could give tokens to someone and then they could do a token action using gas paid by someone else?
He did, but actually that's not in 2.0, it's in 2.1. Currently, you can write in your data contract that the gas fees are paid by somebody else. Well, basically, you can have it so that if you buy your NFT, let's imagine you have an NFT that you're selling for tokens, and you're not selling the NFTs, but the ability to create an NFT costs a certain number of tokens. You can make it in your data contract that anybody who buys your token, I mean, who spends tokens to do your action on the document, has their gas fees paid by you. Like that, for example, they don't have to pay fees for doing their action in your system. It seems a little abstract just with the way I'm talking about it, but like a more realistic scenario, let's imagine you're selling um, you're selling um, tokens. You're selling movie theater tickets. There you go. And you have a movie theater and you sell your tickets. Somebody who buys your ticket, or you sell your tickets and you say the buying thing is in a stable coin, but you don't want them when they purchase your thing to have to worry about any extra fees because you're making money off the thing. So you pay the gas fees of them making the purchase, stuff like that. Or when they're creating an NFT based off of the token that they have inside your system, it gets a little complicated actually. When they create that document, they also don't have to pay a gas fee, and you pay the gas fee instead because you're making money off of them using your contract. When the use cases actually like are made, like when contracts come out and people start using these features are going to be very cool for users because it will kind of match what users are more used to. A lot of users using various systems don't really like paying fees when they're paying somebody for using the system, right? It seems like they're, nobody likes paying more than the advertised price. So you shouldn't have to.
All right. Thank you very much. I think that's it for today. Thanks for being here, the comments, the questions, and the feedbacks. And
Oh,
see you. Yep.
Wait. I had one for Pasta.
All right.
I'm sorry. Pasta, you still there?
Yes. What's up?
I think I loved your demo as well about voting directly from Dash Core. One thing that exists in Dash Central that a lot of people I think really like is the ability to vote in a delayed fashion.
Hmm.
For example, you can say, okay, I want to vote on this over the next 2 days or something like that with all my nodes. Even if you only have like 3 nodes, you might want to say vote, but not immediately. And then one will be immediate, the next one will be, randomly in like a day and a half, and then the last one is in like a day and 3/4 or something like that. Is that a feature that we could maybe do? So people,
Yeah. I had
so
thought about that in the implementation. I definitely think that is like a follow-up feature that I might be interested in adding. I don't think that's something to do like in this PR, but
Got
I do think that is a reasonable ask, and that is kind of on the mental to-do list.
cool.
All right. Thank you very much. And see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.